The link between Greco's Burial of the Count of Orgaz and Verdi's Requiem can be seen through the common theme of paying homage to a departed figure. In the case of the painting, the Count of Orgaz is being laid to rest in a grandiose manner, with heavenly figures descending from above to witness the event. Similarly, Verdi's Requiem was composed as a tribute to the poet Alessandro Manzoni, who was a figurehead of the Risorgimento movement and a champion of Italian unity and humanistic ideals.
Both works reflect a sense of grandeur and solemnity, with Greco's painting emphasizing the sacred and divine elements of the funeral ceremony, while Verdi's Requiem draws on the religious tradition of the Catholic Mass for the dead. In both cases, the artist sought to create a powerful and moving tribute to the deceased, conveying a sense of the majesty and significance of the moment.
Furthermore, both works can be seen as expressions of a broader cultural and political movement, with Greco's painting embodying the religious and cultural values of Spain during the Counter-Reformation, and Verdi's Requiem reflecting the ideals of the Risorgimento movement in Italy. Both works are infused with a sense of passion and conviction, as the artist sought to convey the importance of the figures being celebrated and the values they represented.
Overall, while Greco's painting and Verdi's Requiem are distinct works of art, they share a common theme and reflect similar artistic and cultural influences. Through their grandeur and solemnity, both works convey a sense of the transcendent and the sublime, inviting us to reflect on the significance of life, death, and the humanistic ideals that animate our existence.
When Rossini died on November 13, 1868, Verdi was deeply affected. He suggested to his publisher, Tito Ricordi, the idea of a requiem in his memory, written by 10 of Italy's musical greats and performed on the anniversary of his passing in his hometown of Bologna. Verdi reserved for himself the finale, the Libera Me. The Messe pour Rossini was composed, but various reasons prevented its execution. However, it would live on through the Messa de Requiem, in which Verdi naturally incorporated the unused fragment.
After the project for the Messe pour Rossini was abandoned, Verdi contemplated writing a requiem. In April 1873, he retrieved the manuscript of the Libera Me. On May 22, the death of Alessandro Manzoni provided him with the decisive impulse. Deeply affected, Verdi did not have the heart to attend the funeral. On June 2, he paid his respects at his grave in the monumental cemetery of Milan.
Composed in memory of the writer Alessandro Manzoni, whom Verdi greatly admired and shared a commitment to Italian unity, the Messa de Requiem was premiered on the first anniversary of his passing, May 22, 1874.
However, the work had a longer history. Verdi had been thinking about it since Rossini's death in November 1868. He had suggested that 10 of Italy's most distinguished masters, starting with Mercadante, if only for a few measures, compose a Requiem Mass to be performed on the composer's anniversary. Despite the project's failure, Verdi had completed the Libera Me that had been assigned to him, which he incorporated into his Messa de Requiem. This poignant moment of a Requiem Mass, in which the very voice of the deceased is heard, "Deliver me, Lord, from eternal death," on this fearful day, would serve as the core of the introit and dies irae of the sequence.
Despite the difficulties, ensuring that the singers would be allowed to perform, an uncertainty that Rossini had already faced in his time, the work was performed on the scheduled date at the San Marco Cathedral in Milan, primarily chosen by the composer for its acoustics. The triumph continued a few days later at La Scala, then on tour in Paris, New York, London, and Vienna in 1875. For the English premiere, Verdi modified the Liber Scriptus to give it its definitive form, transforming the initial fugue for chorus and orchestra into a mezzo-soprano solo, the only member of the vocal quartet previously lacking it.
Verdi's Requiem follows the Roman Catholic liturgy in 7 parts, with a predominant place given to the sequence of the dies irae. The 10 numbers flow seamlessly, starting with the breath of the low strings. The choir sings pianissimo possibile, before bringing in the 4 soloists one by one. The entire work deploys a tragic vision of human condition through the most contrasting expressive states. From the harrowing cries of the choir in the Last Judgment, enhanced by the trumpets of the tuba mirum, to the disarmed voice, interrupted by silences, of the tenor in the more stupebit. The work ends with the terrified murmur, as if over an abyss, of the solo soprano.
For Verdi, who was struck early and repeatedly by the Reaper, the loss of his 2 young children and then his wife between 1838 and 1840, and who portrayed it in so many of his operas, the form of the Requiem revealed itself to be much more than an ideal theatrical structure, made of tensions and moments of meditation.
He, who attached so much importance to the parola scenica, the scenic perspective generated by words, and who, at over 60 years of age, would wait 10 years before writing another opera with Otello in 1887, found in the anonymous words of the Requiem a libretto suited to his measure.